Hey folks, it's time for TWiP Pro Photo Critique number 138, Wide Angle. This is TWiP. Hey, welcome back to another TWiP Pro Photo Critique. This is episode 138. The topic, as selected by my partner in crime, Mr. Troy Miller, was wide angle. Troy, we got some wide angle shots in there, man. Lots of wideness. What do you think?
We do. We got lots of wideness. Some more wide than others, but we got lots of wideness in there. So good selection. We got like another 20 plus images. So
yeah, and one just snuck in. Tim Engel just snuck one in under the wire while we were pre-show bantering because he plans ahead. You know how to.
He knows Troy and Frederick are talking, and he can sneak one in.
Right. Well, let's dive in because we got a lot to get through and a little time to do it. You ready to go?
I am. Yeah, I'm ready. Getting everything set up here, but we're good.
Cool. Let me go ahead and bring up the TWiP Pro community. If I can here. Here we go. All right, here we go. Let's just make sure that no one else snuck an image in. Let me reload here.
No kidding.
We'll reload, make sure we got everybody. We're sorting by date created. Good to go. All right. So here we are. First one, last in, first up. Tim Engel gets to go first. Get that. Game in the system. All right. Yeah. This is Tim's image just uploaded less than 3 minutes ago.
Right.
So remember the topic title is wide angle.
Right. I love the image. I mean, Tim is really good at these really, moodful posing and lit images. I don't see the big wide angle sense of this. It's hard to tell that it's wide angle. So that element of it doesn't really come across, but I love the pose. I love the little slip of light down her spine.
Yeah.
And
so creepy.
Yeah, and there's no limbs cut off. This is great. If Tim shot more wide angle, maybe.
Tim, we found the antidote to your amputations is the wide angle.
Yeah.
What did I do here? Let's see. There we go.
Okay. I think the top of the frame. I like the space. The space is okay, but I think it needs to be burned down a little bit. I think the spill on the background is a little too much. It's a little brighter than her face. Mm-hmm. And I think that, because it's such a muted tone in this image, that her body, her skin tone should really be the brightest element. So I would take that down and even the stool down just a little bit more so she stands out. Yeah, put her in a little bit more darkness.
Yeah, I agree. Two comments on this one. And we're going to go at a relatively quick clip on these, just like we did on the flowers, because our community's getting more popular, I guess, and we're getting more submissions here. My two comments on this particular image were, yes, I agree with everything you said. Number one is more of an artistic sort of comment, and I really dig this type of image that isn't. It's a nude and it's suggestive, but it's not overtly suggestive. Like the shot isn't about the nudity. It's more just sort of, I know this is not a candid, but it's more sort of a capture of a candid moment in time, so to speak, without overtly showing breasts or anything like that. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I find the mystery of obscuring things more seductive than actually showing everything. I don't know, kind of like a striptease, I guess. And then secondly, the lighting on this shot, like you said, coming from the top, I like that. I like what he did to separate her from the background. The spine thing, I'm not too sure about that because that's I don't know, just like. It looked like this could be an ad for like spinal surgery or something. It's like, are you having back pain? It's that kind of thing. And then this line down the middle here bugs me a little bit on the background. I would like to have seen that smoothed out a little, but
on the background,
yeah, on the background, just because it's distracting me because it's going right up and it's too close to the vertical line of her spine. So it's a little bit distracting. That would have been easier, relatively easy to knock out of there. Or does he have two lights at the top there? It could just be two lights or something. I don't know. But
Yeah. Two quick thoughts. When you get to an image that's this clean and this simple, you have to look at the little details. And one, her left hand wrapping around her shin, her right shin, you get those little fingers popping through.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to watch those. And then I would have lifted her chin to separate it from her shoulder, just a tiniest little bit,
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
just a little bit, but solid image. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, very solid. Yeah, things like that is like, in the moment, you got to think of like when you're a photographer, it's like the lighting, the pose, the model, there's a bunch of stuff going on. You probably had a makeup artist running around there. So that the distance between her chin and her shoulder, yeah. But, in retrospect, it's like, man, can you think of every little detail? And the hand, the hand on the shin there. Yeah, I definitely see that too.
Yep.
Cool shot. All right. Moving right along. Thank you, Tim Engel. Coming to the class late, turning your homework. Jim Peters is up next. Topa Topa, first Photoshop sky replacement. Look at that. That's a light touch sky replacement. I wouldn't have known unless he told me.
Yeah, not too bad, except for the lights going in the wrong direction.
Yes, it is. Yeah, because it's coming from behind. Yeah, you look at the shadows on the hills versus the shadows or the highlights on the clouds themselves. Yeah.
Yep. I always look at the light direction in the clouds now compared to the landscape.
Yeah. Well, you didn't that day at Photo Plus, did you? A day that will live in infamy.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will. Yeah. Inside joke for those of you who don't know. We'll talk on that later sometime.
Yes. The community knows. The community knows.
Yeah, the community knows. Yeah. Yeah. Much love, Renee. Much love. The sky replacement is nice. I mean, it's certainly better than a blank sky. So, and that's the nice thing about being able to do, sky replacements. But it feels off to me because it feels like the lighting direction in the clouds is incorrect. So, got to watch that.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, interesting, but it definitely fits into the topic of wide angle, right? So he fit in there. When I look at shots like this, I want to. This is when I saw this shot, I'm like, yeah, it's a great shot. I didn't instantly know that it was sky replacement until he said it. But I also think like, what is the subject of this shot, and is this shot remarkable? Right. So what, like this shot is, because what makes this a professional shot? It's a competent, it is a clean, he nailed the exposure. It's technically good, but from a photography standpoint, like what pops out as like, oh wow, that's amazing. Like, right. I think if he had maybe push the hills down in the foreground a little and maybe pop the strata on the hills in the background to sort of make those stand out a little, it would have been like, oh, the photographer wants me to look at that strata back there, right?
Right.
Or something, something like that. Otherwise, I'm just looking at hills and, it's pretty, but I don't have anything to focus on.
Right. Yeah. There's no main subject matter that draws me in that is different than what most people might have seen when they stood there. Mm-hmm. So what is the story you're telling? And then very much like what you're saying is, how do you finish the image? If the image is going to be a little bit flat, increase the contrast, maybe convert it to black and white, do some, treatment to the image to get those, a little vignette, a little dodging and burning to draw some focus in there somewhere.
Yeah. 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 All that.
All of the things. Do all the things.
Do all of the things. Or use Luminar 4 and pop a hot air balloon in there or something.
A giraffe. Put a giant giraffe on there.
A giraffe in there, or a Southwest plane coming over your head. But cool shot. Thank you, Jim Peters. Next up is our friend, Mr. Steven Scharf. And Steven says, Bodie Mansion, a park ranger's home in Bodie State National Historical Park, Bodie, California, Fuji. And it's got a border on
it. We're not talking about borders. We don't have time.
All right. No border talk. No border talk.
No border talk. I love Bodie. Bodie is absolutely amazing. So it's such a fun place to shoot, and it's outside, and I just so bad want to be there right now. So
yeah,
you can
go.
Cool,
you can just stay socially distanced, or take a road trip.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking at the image closer up, there's definitely some halos around some of the buildings, especially on the right. I feel like either the sky was dropped in or it was pushed too far. There's also some weird black, I don't know, it looked maybe cloning trails just off the right peak, just a little bit north of the right peak of the house. So there's something going on in there. I don't know what that is. But aside from that, I love the composition of this and the use of wide angle to really, accentuate the size of the house. The house isn't that big, but it feels a little bit more dominant in the frame. So,
what's the trick to getting a dark sky like this? Is it the polarizing filter?
Nah, it doesn't even have to be that. I mean, if it's a beautiful blue sky, you simply grab the blue channel and pull it down, which is easy because all of these buildings in the ground is like a brown, like a dark brown, a light brown. So you just pull the blue channel down. If you're shooting in infrared, it will go amazingly dark. So Bodhi's amazing in infrared.
Yeah, see that's a me showing my age by saying, oh, if you want to darken a sky, you got to throw a polarizing filter on it because it's film, right?
Or if you're shooting black and white film, you'd use a red retin-A filter.
Yeah.
Or a yellow if you want less, but yeah.
Very cool. I like the treatment. I like the pop of the contrast in here, but not too much. There's still detail in the highlights, details in the shadows, but that it pops. It's very crisp. I enjoy that kind of black and white.
Yeah, and I feel like the foreground needs to come down in front of that fence and the steps a little bit. It feels a little hot. I don't know, maybe the sun or...
Unless the photographer's trying to lead you into the front door and he wants it like that. Right? So you could have a model sort of peeking out of the front door there and it would make sense, right?
Right.
Or in the window. All right. Well, Stephen Sharf, thank you, sir. Moving right along, next up is Mr. Armando Brook. And Armando says, Nikon 1635 at 16 millimeter. This is skyline of Riverside, Sao Paulo, using the new sky replacement from Photoshop. Oh, this is our first Photoshop sky replacement shot. Unless Jim Peters was using Photoshop as well. I don't know. I guess ultimately it won't matter because all post-processing apps will have sky replacement. So at some point it won't matter.
Right. I actually really feel that the sky is detracting from the buildings. I think that it's overpowering. I think it's cool that it's in there and that it did a good job. But as should any Photoshop work, I shouldn't have to know that it was Photoshop work and then be impressed that Photoshop did it. It should just be impressive. There is some giveaway though that not all the reflections have the right colors in them. And I'm just kind of poking around.
Yeah, good point. That's one thing about the sky replacement filters, current state of them. I know Luminar is planning on adding a feature that will add proper reflections in water, but it's not there yet. It's not even slated to be released until 2021. So until then, there's manual, right? You have to manually do it. And if you manually do it, like Armando did here, then you got to nail it. You got to get it right because reflections, in my opinion, you tell me what you think, Troy Miller. Reflections are one of those things that our brains, reflections and shadows, right? That we look at them, and if they're not right, we instantly get uneasy or uncomfortable, and we start searching for what's wrong, right?
Yeah, I mean, and that's how we navigate the world. That's how we walk. That's how we see depth and we sense space. Is light, the way light plays on a thing, or the way a shadow is, or how dark that shadow is, or how tall something is, and how long the shadow it casts. All those things help us determine size as we walk through our environment. So whether we're conscious of it or not, we do. Our brains calculate those kind of things. So we will sense something off in this image. I like the fact that the sky was replaced. I think that if you were to bring that sky down to like 10% of the intensity that it is, you're creating a background for the buildings. Then I think this is a winner. Yep. Right now, they're too much.
Yeah, it goes to what's the hero? Who's the subject of this? Is it look at this amazing nuclear winter sky that we have going on, or is it the buildings, or is it the reflection? You know, where do you want the viewer to go? If this was a postcard, which it could very, very well be a Sao Paulo postcard, then all of it is, because, you know, the person that bought the postcard wants to remember this area that they were at. But maybe, you know, but even then, would they want to remember it unrealistically? So, yeah. Interesting.
Right. And if you look at the domed building on the left, you see that domed building on the left half?
Yeah.
See the building to the right? See the reflection in the water? It's not correct. There's cloud.
Yeah.
The coloring is covering the top of the building and the reflection, but not in the above the reflection. So those are.
But would the average viewer see that? Like, would you know, the average person that got this shot and you printed it out, and would they? I mean, you would know, and we would know as photographers and as anal retentive as we are, purposefully, right? We see this kind of stuff, but would the average viewer that's just looking at it, you know, maybe for 3 minutes max on face value?
If you're looking at it on social media, no. But if you're looking at it in a gallery setting where it's large, they may not be able to identify what's wrong with it, but they may not have a liking of it as much. It's kind of like food. You know, I can eat something and go, wow, this is pretty good. But I don't know what it could taste like. And if I were to taste it the way that it should taste, I might be amazed.
Yeah.
And it's a hard thing to come to, but I tend to believe that viewers do recognize things like that, whether they can identify them and call them out or not.
Yeah, it reminds me of my first time actually having garden-grown onions. Oh my God. Right.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that's what an onion tastes like. Yeah, it's crazy.
Right. Or I could just imagine a kid having a real cherry for the first time. Like that is not what, you know, Jolly Roger's cherry tastes like, you know?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, exactly. What is this? What's wrong with it? Yeah, this doesn't taste like Twizzlers. What's going All right. Thank you, Armando. Next up is Amy Brooks. Amy says, "Scurvy no more."
That's a clever title.
All right. Let's see if Mighty lets me show this. There we go. All right.
Yeah.
What did she put any? Yeah, 35 at F4 at a 60th. Okay.
Yeah. So, you know, and we didn't really clarify, but I think that for me, that when we talk about, you know, shooting something wide angle or using a wide angle, you shouldn't have to tell me what wide angle you used. It should be obvious that you shot with a wide angle. And this is not obvious that it was shot with a wide angle. I have no way of knowing that it was shot with a wide angle.
Yeah. There's no telltale distortion or anything to tell you. Like if she had shifted down and did this less perpendicular, then, you know, it would have distorted a little bit and made it exaggerated. But as it is, it's more of a recording type shot.
Right. And anybody who wants to work with an art director or do commercial work, I mean, you may get a directive that says, hey, you know, we really want our images to represent space and size, and we want to use wide angles for everything. And if you deliver images that don't say wide angle in the image themselves, they're probably not going to be as happy. So just a little point of reference.
Yeah.
But speaking to the image, I mean, I love the cleverness of this. I like that it's in focus from edge to edge. I feel like we have a little more space on the right than we need. It should match the space top and bottom. Could be the same, but I love the simplicity and the creativity of this.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I agree. I think if you're what am I trying to say? I think if it was closer to the center, if you want it to be in the center, you wanted to go for symmetry, then go for symmetry. But if you don't want to go for symmetry, you need to lean in a little bit harder on the fact that it's more closer and it's off center, and you're using the shadow as part of the composition. Like maybe zoom out a little bit and move the orange closer to one of the intersections of the rule of thirds on the lower right.
Sure.
And lean into there's dead space on the upper left, you know, that kind of draws you down into it, and the shadow of the orange is pointing into that dead space. So sort of lean into it versus it's kind of over there, but not really. It's kind of in the center, but not really, you know, so lean one way or another.
Right. Right. And then just to be nitpicking, the background has two different colors in it. Basically, you have a warm tone and you have a cool tone. And so I'm thinking that you probably used a window light and then some sort of artificial light, maybe that didn't match, or something is going on. So make sure that those colors match so you can shift those colors to be the same tone.
Yep. Very cool. All right. Thank you, Amy Brooks.
I wonder if that's what she was shooting during the member mixer. Remember, she was taking photos.
Oh yeah,
Maybe she was doing her assignment.
Yeah, Amy, you got to let us know. Let us know. All right. Speaking of wide angle, here's Steve Van Sickle with his 10 millimeter APS-C. I know it's weird to shoot something in visible light. Yeah, because he's been shooting stuff outside the visible light spectrum. But having a real autumn of leaves changing, unlike the last couple of years with too much rain and wind, has been driving me to work with the everyday wonder. Let's take a look.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, see, that's cool. Definitely wide angle for sure. I always like these kind of shots with the trees growing up into the vanishing point. He did a good job with this one with that cluster of trees in the middle sort of exploding. This almost reminds me of fireworks. It's very cool.
Yeah. It's funny. Like when you walk through a forest or a set of trees, shooting up is always so amazing. Even though it's cliche, it never gets old. I always love the the up shots in the forest with the trees reaching to the sky and stuff. So really, really, really cool. I feel like maybe the blue is a little too much. I feel like it's pushed a little too dark and too saturated, and I kind of see what you're doing to try to get that warm color to offset, but I think that the blue is pushed too far. I don't know what you think.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind it. I see what he's trying to do. He was trying to contrast the orange against the blue and to make it more obvious, to pop the orange out more. So I don't really mind it that it's like that. You know, I kind of dig it. Yeah, there's not much I would change about this shot. I think he threw a little bit of a vignette on there. The only thing that's kind of that I'm wondering about is the black bar at the top of this shot.
Yeah, probably an oops in cropping. I'm guessing probably just a crop because there's a little tiny red leaf at the top dead center that's killing me.
He left that in there. He left that in there to dance on your OCD nerve.
Yeah. Troy's never gonna see that.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a Troy Easter egg.
But this is really good. Really good shot, Steve. I like it.
Yep. Very cool. Very cool. Thank you, sir. All right. Coming up next is our friend and member, Mr. Craig Colvin. Craig says Stormy as 17 millimeter. Let's take a look. Look at that. Look at that. See, this goes to location, but even you can probably appreciate this as well, Troy. Even on top of location, it's also model. So, and then the third leg in that tripod is skill, right? To capture all that. So you put those three things together, a great model and a great location and a skilled photographer, this is what you get on the other side.
Yeah, and I would even argue that you could take a moderate model, an average sky, and a good photographer, and you're still going to get an amazing image in a location like this. But this is time of day, and so often when we look at images that we want to be amazing and they're not, that's where the sky filters come in, right? Like you're in a place, you only have so much time and the sky's not amazing, so I'm going to drop one in. But this is about time of day, being there at the right time, having the beautiful sky. One of the things that I really appreciate about this image is the intentional pose of the model. I love how she's putting her weight on her front leg, letting her right leg trail behind. It gives her this sort of elegant push to camera right, into the wind. Her hair's blowing back. I really think it's lovely. I only have one or two nits for this, and that is that I wish her right elbow had a slightly outward bend to it as opposed to coming into her body. I just would love to see a little more bend in that, and in her right wrist. I know that's being picky. Anybody who's spent time at PPA will understand all the bendy parts, right? If it bends, you need to bend it. So
interesting.
I would love to see that right arm have some bends in the joints, just ever so subtly, and a little more burn in on the ground around her feet. I'd like it to match the ground to the right a little bit. It feels a little hot.
Yeah, now that you say those things, I agree. So I love the shot overall. This is like square right in the middle of the kind of photography and the kind of shot I like, which is, one of the reasons why Craig and I are friends. But I think from a creative standpoint, a subjectively creative standpoint, I'm not a fan of bisecting images in the middle with the horizon. So maybe get a little lower, but not through the middle like that. That's not a hard and fast rule, and like I said, it's very subjective. The second thing is this plant over to the right side here. I probably would have got that out of there. I would have content aware filled that guy out of there just to clean it up. Other than that, killer shot.
Yeah.
Killer shot.
No, I agree. And immediately, there's a lot of things that I see, like if you're standing there and you're setting this pose up, I would kneel down nice and low, step slightly to the right, move her up into the sky. That would make it a lot more majestic. Mm-hmm. But that's not what we have. This is the image that we have. And, it's amazing, Craig. I don't know if it's coming from Mighty or if it's just in the image, but I think the highlights are a bit hot. And what I would do is I would bring the exposure down on the entire image so that the highlights are properly exposed, and let the shadows go dark if they go dark. Let the valley go dark. Let the sky go dark. And it'll increase the drama. We don't need detail in the shadows of the dress so much as the mask of her face, that edge light. Let that edge light be the properly exposed.
Yeah. Good shot, though. I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah,
Bravo.
we have to do a whole discussion offline. Maybe we'll do it as a Twitch stream or something. But a discussion about high speed sync and lighting and available light versus natural light and that whole controversy. So it's a controversy for some people, and we should talk about why it shouldn't be. So we have to do something. We'll have that conversation. Right. Next up is James Glennie. James says, sunset in French Village, Nova Scotia.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Yeah, that is cool. Definitely wide angle.
Yeah, my favorite part of this is the little dock on the right. And at first I'm like, ooh, that's sort of my hero. That's my subject. And then how do I create focus there? And then as I'm playing with crop and stuff, I realize it's okay to come out of that corner like that. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it too. I don't know if I like this vertical line antenna fishing pole, whatever this is right here in there. Because it's making me think about what is it, right? And it's distracting me from the overall image. It's not horrible, but I think it would have been a better image for it if that was just sort of cloned out of there, even if down just to the banister or something.
I totally agree. I mean, you have all these sort of free form organic shapes. Even the dock is coming in on an angle, and then you've got this harsh, super vertical pole that's in there that I think needs to come out. And there's something going on with the pole. I don't know if maybe this was a stitched or something, but it's broken. There's three parts where it's
right there. Yeah. And right here. Yeah. I see that. Yeah. I think that's probably a stitching thing. Yeah. So, which gives you even more reason to just clone that guy out of there, get him out.
Yeah.
The other thing I was going to throw in there, like you could have, I don't know if it was possible to do it at the time of capture, but it would have been great to have these lights on the banister on.
Yeah.
Right. So these guys, you can't see my cursor on the screen. But on I want to say there's probably 3 lights showing, maybe 4. On that banister. If they were turned on with a little bit of glow, that would have been cool. If you can't, if it wasn't possible to turn them on, head over to flern.com and watch some Nace tutorials on how to turn lights on.
Yeah.
He will teach you how to turn lights on and, just go from there. But cool. Cool shot.
Yeah, I would add, I don't know if this is a place you can go back and you can photograph, but if you can go back and photograph just that dock with those lights on and then composite them in so it's more natural, I would do that. This is an exceptional image, and I think that would be worth the effort to sort of complete it.
Yeah. And being a portrait photographer, I want to see a person in there like Craig Colvin's model over the valley, looking out over the, standing on the pier, looking out. But cool shot.
Yeah.
Very
Or like
cool.
a puppy sitting out there like
Or a
somebody's
puppy,
dogs.
Or a little kid sitting there with a fishing rod. Very cool shot. All right, James Glennie. Thank you, sir. Ginger bearding. Next up is Mark Harris. Mark Harris says, "Oh, look, I have those two strip box. Just got them this weekend. For wide angle topic model Rebecca Lawrence, who has been training for over 2 years as an aerialist, here photographed with a 12 millimeter fisheye lens. The 2 strip boxes lit the photograph. The fluorescent lights just happened to be on. Let's take a look. Yeah, I got 2 of these, Troy. I bought them to play around with those Godox lights to do some hatchet lighting experiments.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hatchet lighting is great. I think that I love the image. I mean, I love the black and white, the treatment. I like that the fact that the lights are in there. I'm okay with the lights in there. I think it feels very sort of photojournalistic, right? Like it's environmental. This is kind of what's happening. I wish the highlights on her body were a little bit brighter to create more sculpting. The shadows can stay nice and dark, but we have so much vertical space that we don't need. I think you could crop out the lights in the ceiling or just to the lights. I don't know. What do you think?
I agree. Yeah, because I'm getting a little lost in there, and I there's a lot. Unless you're gonna, like we used to say at the beginning of these critiques, unless you're gonna throw some text in there,
Right.
I want to. Yeah, it's taking me out of the image, and if you make me think about the image, there's a lot of mystery going on in this shot where my brain has to work to kind of stitch together what's happening because of anti-gravity, and there's a bunch of stuff happening, and to make me think even further about what's happening up there in that abyss is it's taking me out of the image. So yeah, I want to stay in the image. So I totally agree.
Yeah, and I think if you bring the highlights up, it'll outline the mask of her face better. It'll outline the shape of her body a little bit better, and it'll be easier to immediately identify with what's going on. So, but great capture. I love that. I love that angle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Fun stuff. Creativity. You gotta love it. All right. How many do we have left here? Nora's next. We've got a group. Not too many, though. All right. Next up is Nora Znotinas. Nora says, last flowers of the fall, shot with a Nikon 7500 crop sensor, 10 millimeter f8. I like this shot a lot. I like this kind of black and white processing. I've seen a lot of nude and fine art nude photography shot with this kind of processing where it's almost a sepia tone. So it's not like that stark, crisp, 100% black and white. Looks like she threw a little of sepia or brown or some, there's something in there to warm the image up so it doesn't fall completely black and white. So I like that she did that. I like the overall composition of this shot. It's got some mystery to it. That's leading into that flower. That the vine of the flower is leading into the flower. It takes my eye on a journey up and around and ultimately ending up at that flower. So yeah, I like this one a lot.
Yeah, this is exceptional. And I do love the black and white treatment. I have always believed that a little bit of warmth adding to a black and white image improves it, because I think that I'm not a big fan of the cold tones. So I recognize that right away. So I really appreciate the intention to that. This image is exceptional. This is beautiful. I really love this. I hope that you did a bunch of these, different perspectives and created a series. This is really wonderful. It's nice to see the flowers themselves are sharp, petal to petal. That's great. My only nit for this is we just have a lot of negative space around the top right corner and the right lower right corner that we really don't need. And if we crop up and in from the right, I think it gets really, really strong. I wouldn't crop it above where the two stems come together, I would just crop up to sort of where that little bundle of maybe leaves is, where that is. But great job, great treatment.
Crop around in this area here, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then what that'll do is that'll put the white flower, the head of the white flower, sort of in our predominant top right third, and that'll kind of be the hero. So,
yeah, really cool shot though. Yeah,
yeah, this is fantastic. Yeah, this is.
I think this one deserves really a little golf clap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or can I do a cheer? Or can I do a cheer? With,
Don't do it.
Can I? Wait.
Nobody wants to hear it.
Wait, I don't have a cheer sound effect. Oh, yes, I do. Wait, hold on.
Oh, no. Oh, my God.
Hey, with great power comes great responsibility.
Oh, man.
Nora Znotinas, thank you so much for that. Amy Brooks is up next. And Amy says, when in Rome, Fuji X-T20, 1024 at 10 mil. Let's take a look.
Well, Amy already has one. So which one is Amy's entry?
Oh, Amy put in 2. That's right. She snuck 2 in last time, I think. Somebody did.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So,
all right.
Beautiful image.
I mean, I'd want to see, like, on a Coliseum image like this, I want to see the entire structure. I feel like I'm losing some of it. Well, we are losing some of it on the left and the right side here. I want to zoom out a little bit. And this is, I've never been to the Coliseum, so I'd want it to be more symmetrical, the shot, just to sort of, it's a symmetrical architectural wonder, that this thing is. So I'd want to show it architecturally perfect as possible to kind of show that, yeah, even back then, the Romans were dialed in with their architectural skills.
Yeah, I don't mind the way that it is right now. I do want to see more of the building, I think. I don't think we need as much space on the top. This is a tight crop, bottom, left, and right, so make the top nice and tight. I think where I struggle with an image like this is the quality of light. It's flat, and sometimes the lighting just doesn't work for you. You can't just throw a couple Godox strobes on that sucker and light it,
Not this one, no.
Yeah, no. A few hundred of them. But no, yeah, I think where I'm struggling. Yeah, I'm kind of struggling with the direction of light, the quality of light, the flat sky, things like that. It's falling out of focus to the right, so we don't have sharpness all the way through. So
yeah, yep. All right. And Amy Brooks' second one. I'll get you sneaking in there. Next up is Craig Stamfley. And Craig says, architectural study number 17, 24 millimeter f4.5, 200th of a second at ISO 200.
Yeah, so I'm wondering, like, he's there photographing the stairs, doing his architectural study, and these models show up. These women show up on the stairs.
They're following him around all the time.
That's got to be, that's just got to be so annoying, Craig. That's got to just be awful.
It's like, get out of my shot with all that.
Yeah. It's a very cool shot. I'm looking at the direction of light. I like the shadows. I love the angle. I feel like the center of focus, based on lighting, because everything is in focus, is the wall to the left, up and down, right? Like the top left corner, the lower left corner, and even the bottom left corner are too bright. And I feel like some light control, some dodging and burning to bring our eyes into more of either the structure or the models. But right now it's on what I guess would be the ceiling to our left.
Yeah. I like it. I love all the angles in here. I love all the lines. It's very stark and geometrical until you throw the nude models in there, which add a splash of organic, to this otherwise sterile image. So I think it's really cool. Really cool.
Right.
And like I was saying about that other image, that when you're doing nude fine art type photography, for me, I think it's much more impactful when you don't necessarily get explicit, for lack of a better word, with it, and it leaves more to the imagination, like this one does.
Yeah. I am struggling with the pose of Riley because I believe Riley is the subject on the right. Her right arm straight up without a bend or anything in it. It feels very uncomfortable in her shoulders and her head. Her left arm is coming back, and I think that could be a little bit more natural by having her drop her right arm, bend her elbow, a little bend in her hands and fingers like the other model, and then Riley would be able to turn her head to the right with her hair back, and you could see the mask of her face. But right now, that section of the pose to me in the model feels very, very uncomfortable, and I don't think it works as well as the other model's pose does.
Yeah. Yep, I hear you. Very cool shot, though. I like it. I even like the border on this one because the black is playing on the interplay of the blacks in the image itself. So in this case, it's the right tool. Just saying. All right. Thank you, Craig Stamfley. Next shot up is from Michael Rhino. Michael Rhino says, my wide angle entry is this sunset photo from a sea cave in Laguna Beach. I have my 24-70 lens all the way to 24.
Yeah, I know right where that's at.
I want to go there. That looks cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. Yeah,
California. Cool. People hate on California, but we have this.
Yeah, we certainly do. This is really great. I'm wondering if it wouldn't be stronger to bring down the shadows of the cave. I feel like we're trying to keep dynamic range in the shadows of the cave is too much. Let the cave go a little bit darker, and then that way we're looking out of a space. But I feel like there's too much dynamic range being used.
Just too much, really? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, this idea that I have to have details everywhere it's not necessarily required. This could be somewhat of a silhouette with just a hint of detail in the inside of the cave, because if you're sitting there and you're looking out at the sun, your eyes are going to dilate for the sun, and you're not going to see that kind of detail in the cave until you actually look at it directly. So to me, this feels a little bit unnatural. It feels a little bit HDR-ish. And I would like to see the cave itself, the inside of the cave, brought down. And then that way it feels like I'm in a dark space looking out into the sunset better.
Yeah.
Just a preference.
Yeah, it's different photos, right? So, a different photo would be someone sitting on that peninsula, out there looking out longingly over the sunset, or
yeah. Yep, exactly. But other than that, I think it's super strong. The horizon is nice and level, which I think is really good.
Yeah.
And did a good job. I see a lot of images now, I think, where everybody's trying to push dynamic range further than the image needs it. Use it when we need it, but we don't need it in the shadows. Let the shadows in this go dark. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah. It's okay to go dark. The sun is perfect. The clouds are wonderful.
Yep. Very cool. Michael Rhino. Thank you, sir. All right. Next shot up is from Lamb. And Lamb says, my entry for theme wide angle, Miss Bamboo, would you marry a dwarf like me? Lebi Tingy are Malay words which mean more taller. All right. Vano Karam, Karkam. I don't understand a lot of that, but.
It was taken with his car cam.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, it's a fun shot. I wish that I understood what was going on in the banner, in the poster, right? Like I wish I understood the story better, but it is a fun shot being able to see, the sort of semi fisheye distortion with the lights coming off and the bright color right there draws us in. And then even being able to see down into the street a little bit. That's pretty cool. That's really neat.
Yeah, it's fun. And he took this with a car cam too. So, you have a car cam in your truck, Doreen?
Nope. I can't see most of the cars around me in my truck.
Oh, that's right, because they're Their little tiny life forms scurrying around the giant monster truck tires.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of what happens. Yeah.
He's like, yeah, that's kind of what it is. Oh, man. Well, cool. All right. Anything else on this shot?
No, I mean, I like it. I think it's fun. I just, the subject is obviously that banner that I don't know what any of that stuff says. So
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Lamb. All right. Ernest Hallett has us tiptoeing through the tulips. He says 10 millimeter after the night rain. All the best. Let's take a look.
oh wow, I feel like we've seen those tulips before.
I think we did too. I think we saw them in the flower. Was it the same ones? Yeah, because these are the shots where you commented on there being water or liquid, the water droplets on the main tulip and none on the ones in the background.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the same exact photo, but it feels like the same flowers. What cool subject matters. Yeah.
And he's leaning into that border, isn't he?
Yeah, I like it. It works. I love this. I love this angle. This is really great. I think for me, the struggle with this image is that super bright background in the lower right quadrant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just too much. Yeah. Really draws our attention away.
Yep. Cool shot. I love it. I think making these guys more of the hero of the shot. I think, like we said last time, maybe getting rid of this guy because he's cropped off a little bit anyway, and changing the crop a little bit so that these are the heroes of the shot, and then pushing this background down a little bit and popping these guys forward a little bit would have kind of changed the sort of the overall impact of the image.
Sure.
All right, Ernest. All right, up next, Peter Levshin. And Peter says, Sony, 12 millimeter.
Oh, yeah. That's great.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, these shots are, I rag on these shots. This is a great shot, but we've seen these a million times. It's almost a cliche, long exposure of a pier, with the water going to, fog underneath it, but exceptionally well done. I love the color palette of this shot. My OCD kicks in at the top of the frame here and here, because the space here and the space here are not equal. So I feel like, if you're going to go for symmetry, then it especially has to be symmetrical up here. The space needs to be even there.
Right.
We always talk about the horizon bisecting the image. This one isn't necessarily bisecting. It's a little bit below middle. So I'm fine with it. I think it's a fine shot. It is an absolutely cool shot. And I think everybody who does any kind of landscape photography or this kind of shooting has to get this out of your system. You got to go shoot it. You have to. I've done it. You got to do it.
If you're gonna shoot wide angle, use the wide angle and lift this lens up and show us the bottom of the pier. Drop that horizon down. Then it's really going to feel wide angle, and you're going to feel the sense of being underneath this thing. And it's not a perspective we see a lot. So I really believe strongly in the idea that if other photographers were standing here or somebody else was standing here, how could I make this look different?
Yeah.
And you've already got this amazing 12 millimeter Voigtlander. I know that's what he's using. Lift the camera up, shoot up into the bottom of the pier, let the horizon drop down. It's gonna look killer. So
yeah. Or throw a model like right here.
Probably not. It probably wouldn't have worked. Yeah,
not for a long exposure. You'd have to do some compositing work to make that work.
Yeah,
take a shot of her and then do your long exposure and try to put them together.
Yeah,
but cool shot. Very cool. Peter Levshin. All right, up next is Eric Pronsky. And Eric says, rest in peace. Image appears cropped in the preview. Oh, yeah. We always click on them. He said he needed 15 mil to get both of the cars in the foreground in and to be able to see the car in the background. He used a sepia black and white version, but could not get great separation between most of the green tones and the brown tones of the car. Again, there's that Voigtlander again. 15
Yeah,
millimeter
Voigtlanders are sweet. Those are good. By the way, Eric, to get separation, you just got to grab the green channel and pull it up or down. And so you do overall exposure up, grab the green channel, pull it down, and you'll get plenty of separation in a monochromatic image in something like this. But I dig it. I think the struggle with this image is that the tonality from the front of the vehicle to the back vehicle is the same, and we really don't have a sense of depth. And wide angles can be a struggle like that. So, burning in that background, grabbing the green tones and bringing them down, even in a color image, is going to help a lot. Very easy to do. In Capture One, I hear the new Lightroom, you can do some of that, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's got it's got they've done a lot of work on the color controls inside of Lightroom. Yeah, this is a cool shot. Yeah, I think I'd want to see a shot like this black and white, because it feels like it wants to be black and white with a little bit of a pop, sort of a contrasty pop in there. The interesting thing when I look at shots or cars like this, you know what I think of? Even though these aren't 57 Chevys, I think of Christine. Like, these cars are about to fix themselves and come to life.
Yeah.
But cool. Or the Disney movie Cars, right?
Right. Yep.
But in terms of just overall composition, I'd want to see a hero of the shot. I think is the hero all of these cars together, in which case zoom out a little bit so that I could see them all sort of gathered together as a family in place, kind of rusting in peace? Or is it just one of these cars, in which case push in and just, make one car the hero of the shot and suppress the other ones? Right now, it's kind of, is this car in the background the hero that's kind of photobombing back there?
Yeah.
Is it these mom and pop cars in the foreground? Is it the kids off to the side there? So it's, my brain has to kind of figure out what's going on, notwithstanding, the black and white treatment that we talked about a minute ago.
Right. I mean, something that can definitely be done is to go and spend some time in Photoshop or Capture One and mask around these vehicles and burn the background down. Just spend some time burning in the background, bringing those tones down, and then do some dodging in the foreground, bringing up the headlights, bringing up the grills, bringing up the windows. And that's going to create that separation. This was obviously shot in a very flat lit situation, overhead light. It's brighter in the background than it is in the foreground. And you shift those elements, the details there, you have the data in the file to do that. Spend some time. I know that watching Joshua's stream, Low Bass Guy on Twitch, he spends a lot of time doing that with a lot of his subjects, and it dramatically improves the image, because you don't always have control, in your environment. So, but you do have control in post.
Yeah. Love it. That's what makes this stuff so fun. There's infinite possibilities. All right. Second to last is Karen Sweeney. And Karen says D850 plus 24 to 120 millimeter, half a second, F9 at ISO 64 at rack to 24 millimeter. Some photo stacking, but with softness still in the distance. This is an asphalt path under there somewhere. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Let's see. Mighty was having trouble bringing this image up for me before. Let's see if it comes through. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I think this is... Hey, folks, when you're uploading images, size them down a little bit for screen res, because those giant images tend to clog Mighty down a little bit. And we don't really need all those pixels for screen display.
Yeah, so just a quick tip, 4,000 pixels longest side. Save the quality at about 10 in Photoshop, or roughly 80% in Lightroom. And sRGB, JPEG, sRGB, they'll come out to be right about 3.5 megs.
There you go. That would be perfect.
Very easy. Yep.
All right.
So I love this shot. This shot reminds
me a little bit of Steve Van Sickle's shot.
A little bit, yeah.
Mhm.
I think to me, and it would probably, well, it wouldn't really kill the wide angle. I think that that path and the tunnel that it's going into, or the arch trees, I think that's the hero of this image. So I think cropping off the top, half or 2/3 of this image, leaving that green tree, just a little bit of sky, and then opening up the highlights in the path, because that's going to draw us into the image and draw us down that path. And I think that's where the strength of this image is for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool shot though. Very cool.
Love it.
Makes me want to go out and do some forest type shots.
Right.
Wide angle. Get some use out of my fisheye lens I haven't used forever. All right. Last but not least, Mark Charette from The Land Down Under. He says, not sure if I want to include this in the wide angle submissions, but you did. But truth be told, this is not only wide, it's massive too, which is why I hosted on Gigapan. Oh, okay. Let's see where we got.
Yeah, it's
So
cool.
he's taking us out to Gigapan. All right. Let's see if this loads in. Waiting. We're waiting, Mark Charette.
Yeah, it loaded for me. It's a very cool image. It's really neat to be able to scroll through a landscape like this. It might not. It might not.
It's not looking good here. Let's try. Let's see if I can reload it.
Yeah, it's probably a lot of bandwidth.
Should be okay. I've got bandwidth, but yeah, Mark, let that be a lesson to you.
You broke Frederick.
You broke it. Huh. All right. Well, we'll have to, if you have a shot of this that we can take a look at,
Yeah.
we'll have to try that, but I can't load it. Let me try it one more time just to see. Give it the old college try. Third reload. It says waiting for gigapan.com. So.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah. For some reason it's not pulling up.
Yeah, it took a long time for mine to load.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's another show. Maybe we have to get Mark on, because I think that's one of the barriers to entry to these Gigapan type images online is the time that we're waiting now. The average Joe would not be waiting. Maybe like, okay, it's not working, I'm on.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Sorry about that, Mark. I tried to get it 3 times. It would not work. So what is you have a favorite out of this week's crop? I do.
I do. It's Stormy by Craig Colvin. I love that. I love that image. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd have to agree with you. Stormy by Craig Colvin. I love that shot. Good job, man. That is really cool. You could, we were talking before we started recording about high speed sync, right? Obviously he didn't need that for this shot because you actually use the sun, right?
Yep.
To get the shot. But you could do something similar to this with high speed sync if the sun wasn't available to you, right? To darken down that background and make the clouds more dramatic and the model pop out from the foreground. That's kind of what high speed sync is designed for, or at least one of the reasons, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And think of it another way. Imagine that she turned her pose to the right and looked over her right shoulder and looked to the right, and you had a strobe there, and you used the sun as a fill light and your strobe was a main light.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. Oh, that would be
easy to do.
Yeah. We got to do a show on that, because I've been watching a couple of videos about. I mean, that's one of the cool things. By the way, congratulations, Craig Colvin.
Yay, Craig.
But that's one of the cool things about photography is, I've been doing this. Literally, been clicking the shutter since 1989, right? So. And I'm still being schooled about light, right? So this high speed sync stuff has got me excited. I'm like, I gotta go out and play around and try that. And that's one of the things I love about photography is it's always changing. There's always something new to learn. The tools, they're always evolving, and there's always a new camera or new lights or whatever. But the techniques there's an a ton of different techniques that you can just bite into and experiment with. I think
and just to
exciting.
see how another photographer would use the same techniques.
Yeah,
That's amazing too, right? Two chefs, same kitchen, same ingredients. You can make one more savory and one more sweet, one more bitter, one more spicy, just on how you mix and match the ingredients. And photography is exactly the same way.
yeah. If you have a group of photographers that are shooting a particular subject, all the images are going to be different. Even if they were standing in the exact same Kodak moment spot, they're going to capture different images because they're going to see and want to interpret that scene differently. I think that keeps it really interesting. And if you introduce variables into it, like, changing the lighting or bringing lights with you, or, there's a model there, all things just change. It gets infinitely interesting and complex. So
yes.
Cool stuff. All right, man. Well, let's wrap this one up. What's our topic for next week?
Show 139 is going to be clouds.
Ooh.
Surprisingly enough. Yeah.
All right. You're going to have to put a box around that one, because people can, there's clouds in a box now that people can apply to their photos. Can they use AI clouds, or do they have to be originally captured clouds?
You can use AI clouds, but if we detect that they were added, if there's artifacts or something, you're going to lose points on that, right? Because it needs to look natural. So I would also suggest that in your descriptions, do not tell us if you used Luminar or Photoshop or some other method to put clouds in there. Just submit the image. Let us go, because maybe you can fool us.
Yeah, let's get out of that. I think that's a good point, Troy. Let's get out of that vein of like, oh, but I added the clouds later. Let me reveal that I added the clouds later. I don't think you have to reveal that. That's like, to continue with our analogy about cooking. That's like a chef coming out and say, yeah, my secret is paprika, You don't need to go to the table and explain why it's delicious. Just let them enjoy the damn meal. Right?
To a point. Yeah.
To a point. Yeah. I mean, in this context, we're a bunch of chefs, right? So we want to know why your meal tastes delicious. But for this cloud one, let's not give, if you can fool us, that's your challenge. Right. If you feel like you want to use synthetic clouds or AI clouds in Photoshop or Luminar, go ahead and do it. But you don't need to tell us about it. Let us figure it out. If we ask, then you can reveal it. But let's see what you guys can do.
See if we can catch you. And just a little precursor for everybody, nostalgic will be the topic after clouds. So, give you something to work on. I want to give you some time.
All right. I think I'm going to enter one in that one. In my nostalgic photo, I have some old vintage cameras that I want to do some macro shots of. I think that's going to be my nostalgia.
There you go. So clouds next week, nostalgic after that. So nostalgic's in 2 weeks.
All right, folks. Well, thank you, Troy Miller. Once again, another fun critique. Congratulations to Craig Colvin for being this week's favorite, and thank you to everyone who shared their images with us this week. Good crop of images. Folks are getting better and better. Folks, you should go back and look at some of the older critiques. Go to the YouTube channel. There's a playlist of all the critiques back to number 1 up there. Go back and look at some of the earlier ones and see the quality of work back then versus the quality of work now. I think you'll be surprised. So let's go.
Yeah, it's getting good. Yeah, it's good. It's definitely good.
All right, Troy Miller. I got to bounce, but thank you once again for your help, and we'll talk again soon.
You got it. All right. Take care, everybody. See ya.
This is TWiP.